If you're preparing to invest in lessons and you're using equipment that is just not built for your swing, it's going to take you that much longer in more of these sessions to achieve any type of goal. Another part of that is, what if I advance? Perfect. You're supposed to advance. We want you to advance, right? So, hey, let's see what happens in the next couple years, right? Because if you're working and you have a family, there's only so much time that you can dedicate to sharpening your game. When we're trying to become successful in golf, we're trying to bring the alarms down mentally. If we can just reduce those alarms with the worrisome of, I don't know if my clubs are right for me, then get fit immediately so you can set yourself up for success. Everybody wants to see success like that. And it's just not going to happen if you're using equipment that's inferior for you.
Launching our 19th year of new weekly episodes, here's our newest Golf Smarter ambassador who plays at the same course where I got started. Stay tuned to hear how you can receive a free gift for doing one of these.
Hi, this is David Lamb from San Rafael, California, and I play at McGinnis Park Golf Center in San Rafael. This is Golf Smarter number 928.
Getting fit for clubs benefits every golfer at any level. With Master Fitter, JP.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, JP.
Hey, Fred, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's great to have you on the show. I'm fascinated to talk to you because I like talking about club fitting. I actually do like it. Not that I go through it often, but I do like talking about it. I think everybody needs to know.
Awesome. I'm very fortunate and thankful to be included in this today. And let's dive into it.
All right. Well, what makes your position unique in talking to a club fitter is that you work for a company. Mm-hmm. You work for PXG doing their fittings, as opposed to a club fitter who does custom clubs, builds custom clubs, or, works in retail and has everything available to them to find the right club for that person. Mm-hmm. What they feel most comfortable with, what looks best to them as they're standing over the ball. But you have a product that you're selling, but you're fitting people for it. Let's talk about, I want to talk about the process of getting fitted, but I also want to talk about the importance of getting fitted. But Let's start with the process of what it is to be fitted by somebody who's working for a manufacturer.
Yeah. Specifically with PXG, part of the process is custom club fitting. So when you're getting custom club fitting, our job is to make sure our equipment is tailored to you. It's a little different than maybe back in the early 2000s. And then even before that, where, you could go to a local retail store, specifically for golf or sporting goods, right? And they had, your set on the wall, and you just pick it up, purchase it, leave. And then you'd end up having to create a golf swing to the golf clubs, which we do the opposite. We're trying to build a golf club or custom fit a golf club for your swing. And before we dive into that process, most consumers have developed a golf swing just based on that. They've either gotten hand-me-down golf equipment, or they've bought something simply off the rack that could potentially either be too long, too heavy, too light, too stiff. So what they're going to do is they're going to go to the range and they're going to try and create a golf swing. And they're probably creating tons of flaws. And it's going to be really difficult if you continue to do that over the years and you're working yourself into a hole, probably creating a lot more frustration than enjoyable time on the golf course. So with PXG, our main focus is to make sure that when you leave after your fitting, you know exactly why you got fit into what the combination between shaft and head. You have a bunch of data to back up any of the combinations we fit you in. So when you're a customer that walks into one of our retail locations or what we call hub locations that are kind of all over the country where we can offer fittings on a daily basis, but strictly talking about our retail stores, predominantly most are 3-bay stores. There are some 2-bays. They're all outfitted with TrackMan. Which is incredible. It's the state-of-the-art technology. You're going to be able to unwind all your data, ranging from your club speed, your ball speed, your distance, your spin rate, your land angle, your height,
Well, let me interrupt you for just a
Sure.
second. I apologize, but you're a young man in my eyes, because I only see dark hair, nothing gray.
Yes.
But have you been fitting since before TrackMan as well?
No.
Okay, so
Me
that's
personally,
your
no.
experience. So, because I got to imagine that changed everything for fitters.
1000%. I mean, there's other great technology that's out there. Foresight, there's the Cube that's out there as well. But with TrackMan, it really made its name through the PGA Tour years ago, where you would see these individuals walking up with a case and a handle and pull out this, 6x6 orange box, and it would sit behind you. And then they take swings, and then you'd see them glance over at an iPad that just had all these numbers. So for them, what they're trying to do is they're trying to dial in their distances. They're trying to understand what their spin rates are. And that's something that we do too, but it's really important for us to provide that data and back up why we're fitting you into, whether it's a stiff shaft, regular flex shaft, different lengths, because we really want to find what's going to optimize your game based on what we're fitting you in. The other cool data is that you're being able to come in with your current equipment. So we're going to really measure your apples to apples, right? If anybody walks in without their equipment in their mind, they're hitting a 7-iron 160 yards, but they don't have that 7-iron, and they don't achieve 160 yards with potentially our 7-iron, it's really hard to justify that today without your equipment. How can we really, how can you really be sure that you are hitting that distance? So it's super important for any of our customers to bring their current gamers in, all of them, bring the whole bag in. So let me walk you through that process, right? So if you're Fred, you're going to walk through. I'm currently right now in the Philadelphia store, which is probably 30 minutes west of Philadelphia in King of Prussia, 3-bay store. So you're walking in, you've got your clubs. I'm going to greet you at the door. Hey, Fred, welcome to PXG Philadelphia. I see you've got a 1 o'clock fitting today for a full bag. Let me check you in. So we'll make sure that we properly check you in through our systems. And at that time, our fitter, if it's me, I'd greet you, introduce myself, and most likely give you a tour of the store, because PXG just isn't built on equipment, right? We've got apparel, we've got merchandise, we've got accessory.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot more about PXG later.
Yeah. And so, the process would, from there, I'd walk you to the bay and just simply ask you to either pull out a wedge or any club that you're comfortable, warming up in. And then after you're done, we'll basically have you take out your 7-iron. We strictly just fit with 7-irons, right? Because we have a ton of shafts to offer. But if you're thinking about a set of irons, whether it's 4 through pitch and wedge, 5 through gap wedge, 7-iron is the middle of the road. So once we really narrow that down, it transcends to the other irons in your set.
And wedges or just irons?
Wedges, irons, hybrids. Yeah. So as far as like the fitting with the 7-iron?
Yeah. I mean, you said how it translates to the other clubs. Does it also translate to the wedges?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we have wedges that we can fit you in as well. That the component, the head comes off during the fitting, and we can change.
Right. But you're talking about the main set, the 4 or 5 through.
Correct.
Your the fairway clubs.
Yep. So the 7-iron, we're going to ask you to hit yours, right? Somewhere between 5 to 7 times, because TrackMan has the capability of collecting an average based on how many swings you've taken. So after you've taken, let's just say 7 swings, I'm going to ask you to come over to my monitor, and we're going to look at all the numbers. So the most important numbers that we like to identify is how fast you're swinging the club, your ball speed, your spin rate, your carry distance, your total distance, the apex or height, and then the landing angle, which is at which degree is that golf ball coming down. So the biggest thing that I love looking at is called smash factor.
Right.
Essentially how you get smash factor is divide the ball speed by the club speed. So on TrackMan, a 7-iron PGA Tour average is 1.33. Essentially, it's the efficiency number. It's telling me where you're hitting it on the face. If we can get that number around that average 133, and a lot of people, when they hear PGA Tour, you think I'm not on the PGA Tour. I can't hit 1.33. You can. Without a doubt, you can attain 1.33 and higher. So, I mean, typically the highest you're going to get is 1.41. Now, the key with that is it really unfolds if that customer has the right combination, whether the shaft, the lie angle, the head, all of these factors will weigh into creating more consistency of you achieving the golf ball meeting the center of that club face. Obviously, well, when you hit a solid shot, it just feels different than you hit it off the toe or heel, right? You know that.
And sounds different.
And sounds different. And goes different, right?
Right.
So once we have that data with your current gamer, that'll give the master fitter at that time a lot more evidence in their mind where they should start with shaft. So we have the capabilities between steel and graphite, ranging from 50 grams in graphite all the way up to 130 grams in steel. So in their mind, they're going to probably pick 2 to 3 different shafts.
And the shafts are based on your swing speed?
They're based on your swing speed. They're based on your shot pattern too. Uh-huh. So anybody that is a left to right miss, if you're right-handed, you're going to want some more weight in that head. You're going to want some more flexibility in the middle of that shaft. You're going to find something that engineers for that club face to break down faster and release faster to minimize that shot left to right. If you're a right to left ball striker, you're going to want something a little bit more stout in the midsection of that shaft, all the way through to the bottom, to essentially where it meets the top of the iron head. So all of this weighs into the factor of the master fitter, who's highly experienced in what he does. The cool part with us, with PXG, is that's all they have to know, right? They have a wide variety of knowledge just based on one product, which is PXG.
Okay. Now we're gonna take a time out right now, and then we can come back. I want to go a little bit deeper into the PXG product line as far as getting that fit.
Sure.
So we'll do that with JP, who is with PXG as a master fitter, and we'll be back right after this. All right, JP, I'm really curious, and we talk about the wide variety of shafts, and I'm assuming those are not just PXG shafts. You have so many manufacturers, so many different type of materials and weights, all those things. But what about the heads itself? You're only using PXG heads.
Correct.
How many do you have to choose from? And how many do you need to choose from, frankly, if it's mostly the shaft?
Yeah. Well, PXG doesn't manufacture shafts. We do hold, certain manufacturers like KBS, True Temper, Project X, Aerotech, Acra, and there's a few others to add to that mix. But when it comes to the head, our core mission is innovation, quality, performance with strictly PXG. So all of those 3 characteristics will simply go into the technology that we provide in our heads. And we're strictly talking about irons right now. So currently right now, our flagship iron is Gen 6. We have 2 different options for Gen 6. We have the 0311P, or player's head, and then we have the 0311XP, extreme performance. So between those 2, depending on your handicap, depending on if you're looking for just all the distance, all the forgiveness in the world, we're going to have all of that information when we ask you, what is your handicap? Are you a 10? Have you lost distance in the past? Are you looking to get more distance? Now, the biggest difference between the P and the XP, right? So the XP is going to be a little bit more offset. It's going to have a wider sole at the bottom. You're looking at probably anywhere from 10 to 15% more material from that P head to that XP head. So for somebody that is just needing all the forgiveness and all the distance to basically maximize their potential at their golf game, they're going to fit better in that XP head.
Is that we're talking about a blade versus a cavity back type of situation?
We're not even anywhere near that. We're nowhere near blades right now with just the Gen 6 line. We do have our own line, a separate line. It's called 0317 that has more of that blade, muscle back, cavity back in our tour models. So we have an opportunity to separate, depending on anybody's capability, whether you're a highly experienced player, a beginner, middle of the road. That's the beauty of PXG. We want to provide the performance in our technology for all skill sets, not just better players, but everybody.
And where, at what point would you suggest to a player come in going, you know what, you're ready for blades, or yeah, you're not there yet. Your game, your swing, your distance, all our data is indicating that you'd probably be better off with a more forgiving club, right? At what point do you?
Yeah, it's really hard to justify. Besides the fact that if you are a single scratch handicap player, somebody that has a ton of control with their irons,
consistent,
yes. Oh yeah, I mean, listen, golf is very hard. Whether you are on the PGA Tour or your local member daily 9-hole hitting giggles, or if you're just playing with your buddies on the weekend, regardless of your capability with the game of golf, it's hard, no matter how good you are or how much of a beginner you are. So the reality is that no matter what, you should be providing the most forgiveness possible. And that's the cool part with our Gen 6 irons that we offer with the P and the XP. I mean, the P is going to be kind of the middle of the road, right? So anybody that is trending from an 8 to a 14 handicap that really isn't needing a significant amount of distance, they'll get it. They're going to get more distance with our product. But somebody that might like that forgiveness and still have a little bit of workability, somebody that just needs overall forgiveness, they need to create more consistency, because the biggest thing with golf is confidence, right? How fast can you develop confidence? It's going to be really difficult if you're using equipment that's inferior for you. So going back to that blades, now, if you're a 10 to 14 handicap and you want to play blades, by all means, go for it. It's just going to take you much longer and create probably some more frustration, because it's just a hard golf club to hit in general. The game should be easier. The game should be more enjoyable. So let's put that product that's going to suit your game for those sole reasons, so that you can be happy and enjoy yourself. And that's what you're going to find in the Gen 6P or the XP.
Yeah. We had a teacher recently say, golf's a simple game. It's really hard to play. It's like,
it's simply
good
put.
Point. Excellent point.
Simply put.
Right. Exactly. So I'm curious, people who have swing analyzers are now, affordable for the average consumer. You can get anything from the Rapsodo and many other products that you can have a swing, get the swing analysis and get those numbers. Is for the average recreational golfer, I don't even know if that means anything, but for the recreational golfer, is that something they should be doing at home and trying to figure it out? Or is it just a bit too much information that will end up being a little more frustrating than helpful for you?
I think trying to figure it out on your own is going to be extremely difficult. There's so much content out on YouTube. It's easy to get down that rabbit hole, and some things that teachers might preach might not work for you. And it kind of goes back to the beginning when you're buying equipment that is potentially inferior because it's just not developed for your swing. It could be the same situation when you're, I guess, trying to assess your swing based on what somebody's telling you from video. The best opportunity that you have in golf, especially beginners, is to get fit. It's the same. I like the metaphor of, if I'm going to go buy a nice suit, I'm not just going to buy it off the rack and leave. I'm going to get it tailored to me. Fred, Fred, would you buy a suit off the rack and leave? Without it getting tailored?
Yes, and then I would go get it tailored.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So
pretty simple to fit. So,
that's the key with the fitting part, and why not start your golf career? Doesn't matter what age you are. Why not start your golf career with equipment that's going to create faster confidence for you? And that's the key of getting fit.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I hear a lot from beginners who I communicate with a lot. A lot of people are like, oh, I discovered your podcast. And it's like, I'm really curious. and not just beginners, people have been playing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years to 15 years. They're like, yeah, once I get consistent with my swing, then I'll go ahead and get fitted. But right now I'm just going to play these clubs. And it's like, wait, isn't that ass backwards? You know, I mean, shouldn't you, because your swing is not going to change radically because your body is your body.
Yep.
And your swing's not going to change radically, but as you fine tune it and learn different things about it, and if you get consistently better, then you can move up to a different type of club. But let's address that concern that most people have that I've come across that are, I'll get fitted later.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with you. It shouldn't. You should get fit now, because here's the thing: is if you're preparing to invest in lessons, right, and you're using equipment that is just not built for your swing, it's going to take you that much longer and more of these sessions to achieve any type of goal. If I were building a house and I only had half of what I needed to build a house, chances are I can build a house, but it'll probably fall down at some point. So I want to make sure that the tools I have to go get a lesson are equipped for me. And another part of that is, well, what if I advance? Perfect. You're supposed to advance. We want you to advance, right? So, hey, let's see what happens in the next couple of years, right? Because, you know, if you're working, you know, and you have a family, there's only so much time that you can dedicate to sharpening your game. Well, let's expedite that process by getting you custom fit, because when you show up, that whole part of your, you know, the whole part of, are my clubs right for me? And I'm going to go get lessons, maybe 5 to 10 lessons, and it's going to still be in the back of your mind. When we're trying to become successful in golf, we're trying to, you know, bring the alarms down mentally. You know, golf will always be 90% mental and 10% physical in my mind. And so if we can just reduce those alarms with the worrisome of, I don't know if my clubs are right for me, then get fit immediately. So you can set yourself up for success. Everybody wants to see success like that. And it's just not going to happen if you're using equipment that's inferior for you.
Mm-hmm. And then the other concern I think that comes across to people is A, I'm not ready to get fit because I'm not good enough. Wrong. And B, you know, if I go get fit, I'm just paying so much more for my clubs than if I were just to go into the store and buy something that I kind of like the look of. Are those myths?
Those are myths. Those are myths, but they're also true. And that's that's part of the education process for this whole, you know, custom club fitting. You're seeing it rapidly grow. And part of that is to understand that golf is a game of, it's an investment. Whether let's say you're not investing in golf equipment, but you're going to be investing in tee times, and you're going to be investing in greens fees and carts and golf balls and gloves and hats and shoes, right? There's an investment that goes towards everything in golf. So if you really break down how many rounds of golf you're playing in a year to warrant the spend, depending on how much you're looking to go in, currently right now we're looking at roughly $3,500 for a full bag for PXG Gen 6. That's top to bottom, all 14 clubs, chrome heads, stock shafts, right? And if you really break that down to 50 rounds a year, you know, it comes out, I don't have the calculator with me right now, but, you know, it warrants that type of investment for 50 rounds in a year to enjoy the game that much more. And it's not necessary for you to buy it every single year, but if you get fitted clubs for you, you got a good 3 to 5 year stretch that you can use that same equipment because they're fit for you. Unless your game completely changes and your swing completely changes, or you have surgery, or you have any type of ailments that come up over that course of time, you know, you want to go into that investment. If you can stretch it out for that long, it's worth the investment.
My eyes popped out of my head because you said 3 to 5 years. Wait, so these clubs I've been playing for like 8 years, it's like they're expired?
Yes. I'll put the expiration date on it right now.
Whoa. Did not know that.
Technology.
Okay. Well, my mind's blown. I got to go clean it up. We're going to take another break. We'll be right back. JP, this is all well and good, but who are you? I mean, where's your credibility? How did you get to being a master club fitter for PXG? What was your route?
Oof. My route has always been involved with golf. So ever since I was 3 years old, my father's a PJ.
I hate you already.
Yeah.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Dad's a PJ professional for right around 50 years now, still. So I was born into the game of golf. I was born knowing that daycare was the pro shop and learning how to cut greens, cut fairways, change pin placements at the age of 10.
Folding shirts, cleaning up the
changing
the store.
grips. Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, let's not tell my mother this, but when I was 10 changing grips, we didn't have grip solvent back then. We had lighter fluid. So,
Mom,
yeah, we didn't. We won't
what's
tell.
that smell, JP?
Yeah,
why do you
tell
smell like
Mom
that today?
We won't tell Mom that.
She knows.
So, for me, golf was always kind of just there, and it was a primary love for me, and just Dad's always been my mentor. He's always been someone I look up to. He was fortunate enough to chase the Champions Tour from 2000 to 2005.
Wow.
And yep, in my late teenage years, I had the ability to caddy for him in a few events, U.S. Senior Open, PGA Senior Championship. The most credible one I'd say is back in Massachusetts. So I'm in Boston, and there's a tournament that used to have called the Bank Boston Classic, and it was hosted at Neshata Country Club in Concord, Massachusetts. So Dad played not so great that first round, and I'm caddying for him. The second round, he got paired with Gary Player and Arnold Palmer. And that was my face for all 18 holes. So, yeah, jaw was
eyes
dropped,
popping out
eyes
of your head,
popping out of my head. I might have misclubbed him the whole day because I was just infatuated with, those two legends. And they couldn't have been such better human beings to be around. And, Mr. Palmer asked us to have lunch with him after. It's just so cool.
Palmer.
So
Mr. Palmer.
Mr. Palmer.
Gary
yeah.
and Mr. Palmer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
so I need to break that one down. That's fascinating to me. These are the kind of stories that I love to hear. So you're caddying, and here you are in the shadow of these two legends. Are you picking their brains the whole time? Are you just eavesdropping on everything they say? Are you talking to them? Are you talking to their caddies? What is that going on that day?
It was such a blur, Fred. I wouldn't be able to provide all of those answers, but what I can tell you is, I didn't want to impose so much and just, be nagging throughout that. They're still trying to compete. I think Gary Player shot 69 or 60. He shot his age that day or something like that, 68. It was insane. I was blown away. But yeah, it was just wholesome. It was wholesome to be around those two. And then and the likes of my father who, he's in the New England PGA Hall of Fame. He's got a lot of credibility in the New England area. So in my mind, a local legend with these global icons. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that were following. It was an incredible thing, and I'll never forget it. And just, having that ability to be surrounded around those two global icons was it's incredible.
Are there any nuggets from that day that you remember of either Mr. Palmer or Gary Player saying to you, it's like, hey, kid, let me tell you about this? Nothing. It's a blur. You'll never forget it, and you don't remember a thing. I love that. Thank you, JP.
I remember one thing. If you really want to make this a career, you have to eat, sleep, and everything else has to be pushed to the side for golf. Like everything in your life gets pushed to the side. If you want to make the professional career, you have to dedicate 150% of everything you do on a daily basis to golf. Whoa. That was it. That was one of the.
And did that encourage you or terrify you?
Both. It was motivation, but there's also a reason that I'm working for PXG. So I did chase the professional career for nearly 10 years, right after I got out of college. And, it was various mini tours, state opens, lots of travel.
And you played in college?
Mm-hmm. I went to UConn, University of Connecticut.
Okay.
Go Huskies.
Sure. Go Huskies.
Yep. And
go elsewhere.
So I had 5 collegiate wins and the confidence was really high to bring that into a professional career. And over, 9 years, 5 months spending in Boston, predominantly during the summer seasons, and then 7 months in Florida. So like West Palm, Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter area, back and forth, chasing the mini tours, playing on the NGA, the National Golfers Association Tour, which was formerly known as the Hooters Tour, which is pretty much down the East Coast and over. I know they have like the Adams Tour, which is, I think, Texas and Arizona. They've got a bunch of mini tours, right, all throughout the country. But yeah, lots of travel, lots of competition. And I had status the last 2 years of my professional career on the Mackenzie Tour, the Canadian Tour, PGA. Had so much fun up there. And yeah, it got to the point where I was just burnt out. I was totally burnt out, and
that's when you start to realize, oh wait, there is no 150% of anything. I can barely give 100%, and that's all I got,
without a doubt. And I started to, what I started to fight was, am I going to continue to do this or am I not? And if I continue to do this and I hate it, am I ever going to play the game of golf again? So that's where I got scared.
Oh, wow.
And because, golf's always going to be important to me in my life, whether I'm a professional or not. And it's a passion, it's a hobby. But I made the decision in 2016 to stop. And it took me driving 1,250 miles from Boston to Jupiter to make that decision. As soon as I got out of the car, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, yeah, I'm done.
Were you debating back and forth the whole way down, or just like all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing?
No, it wasn't a debate. That drive, the debate was the whole year of 2016. And it was more like, let me force myself down there. And when I get there, maybe just the sun, the hot weather, getting on the golf course consistently, because you can't in Boston, the winter. Maybe that would strike some more motivation for me to continue this. And it was the opposite. So wow. At the time, I moved in with a gentleman that was working for PXG in South Florida. He was a fitter. He might have been the fifth or sixth, fitter in the country back in 2016. It was just such a young company. And he mentioned to me, he said, we're looking for people in the New England market, and I think you'd be a great fit. So I said, well, what do I have to lose? If I don't like it, so be it. And fast forward almost 7 years now with PXG. It'll be March 2024 is my 7th-year anniversary of the company. I always thought my passion was playing golf, but I really found when I started working for PXG that my passion was helping people play better golf. So that's where I dove into the whole fitting operations for about.
Well, yeah, you can have multiple passions, but what are you going to dedicate your energy to?
No doubt. And, I think anybody has this feeling at least once or twice in their life where when you do something really good, you get the goosebumps, the hair raises on your arm, and you kind of get that surge of energy where it's like, I just love what I just did. And that was so much fun. And I would get that on a consistent basis when I was helping fit a lot of these, customers back in the day. And when we're seeing results like that, and for them, their eyes are lighting up. They're enthused. They're excited. They can't wait to get their equipment to go and bring it on the golf course and really see what it's all about. So, it's a natural high living off of that. I fully enjoy it. And I've been a regional manager now for, 2-3 years, and still having the capability of jumping back in the bay to fit a customer. I mean, that's the foundation of my passion. So it's a total enjoyment. I have zero regrets. And I also got my amateur status back in 2020. So so
you can still compete.
Yeah. We a friend of mine, his name's Joe Harney. We actually qualified for the US 4 ball a couple months ago, which is actually being hosted at the Philly Cricket Club in May in 2024, right down the street from where I am now. So excited about, competing in the US Amateur, playing in some member guests. You can still play in the US Open. Hey, listen, I still have a shot at making the Masters if I win the US Amateur.
Okay.
A guy can still dream. A guy can still dream over here.
Hey, we'll be rooting for you.
Yeah.
It's like, there's JP. So I'm curious, there's certain foods we call comfort foods, right? There's things that just bring you back to being at home and, mom's taking care of you, whether it's a grilled cheese sandwich with a bowl of tomato soup on a cold, wet day. It's just things that bring you back. I'm curious, when you started doing the club fitting for PXG and you were being, trained in there, was that almost like comfort food for you? Because it's like, I grew up around this.
Yes, it was very uncomfortable in the beginning because I had no clue. Like, being a professional and getting fit for equipment, and being on that other side, right? So I'm on the other side. I'm swinging the golf club. There's a gentleman behind me that's putting all these, shafts and heads and lie angles. And the one thing I said to him, I go, I don't care what you're giving me. Just give me the right stuff. And I didn't at that time have the desire to want to learn more about why are you giving me this and what are my numbers and, what's the reasoning behind this.
When you were playing,
when I was playing and getting fit.
Yeah. Okay.
And so once I started to learn more about the fitting process, I was like I'm like, this is I'm not used to this. This is a totally new endeavor. Something that I could really sink my teeth in because, I found passion in really helping people, but having a incredible product to provide and then seeing somebody that is over the moon with their combination, their distance, their tight dispersion now. They're not missing that way left to right shot off the tee because I've been able to manipulate some weight settings and put you in the proper shaft that you need. And I still have people that contact me from, customers I fit 6-7 years ago. And they're asking when new product comes out, can you fit me? Absolutely. 1000%. Wherever you are, I will go find you and we'll get you fit. So yeah, that was the passion that I never thought I had. And boom, here it came.
Perfect. Oh, that's so awesome. All right, let's find out what's happening on Golf Smarter Mulligans this week, and then we're going to come back and talk about PXG with JP after this. As I've reported over the last couple of weeks, I've been battling right now with tennis elbow and a pinched nerve in my neck and my back, among other ailments that demand I take a break from golf and limit my time producing new content at the computer. So with that, I've decided to put Golf Smarter Mulligans on hiatus until spring. I plan to continue creating new content for Golf Smarter each week until it's just too difficult, but hopefully that won't be necessary. So, Golf Smarter Mulligans will return to kick off year number 6 with 10 consecutive weeks of our annual Tony Manzoni Marathon. And this year, we'll be adding a new episode to the mix as I recently discovered a conversation with Tony that hasn't been included in previous years. So thank you very much for your cooperation and patience as I, and we, all get a little older each week. And here's to a happy and healthy new year to you and your family. I've always been a huge advocate since the beginning of this show because I've talked to multiple. Tom Wishon was on the show, and he's a legend in the club fitting world. And he was on the show multiple times, and I learned so much from him. And it was always been an advocate of getting fitted for clubs, that it's like you really need to get fitted because blah, 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 as we've already talked about. The first time I had to rent clubs on a golf trip because the airline lost my golf clubs, I got my only hole-in-one with rented clubs. I'm like, no, not now. After all this advocation.
Yep.
And then there's been a time, I'm going to be honest here. There's been a time that I was in Mexico and I was playing a club that I was going to have to rent. I didn't bring my clubs. And they said, well, we have these Callaways and we have PXGs. I'm like, perfect. I've always wanted to try the PXGs. Could not hit them. Everything went hard right. Pulled out the Callaways, shot 78. Right? It's like, okay, PXG, I'm not so sure. And then the one other element of PXG in my mind's history, I was at the local golf shop, the worldwide golf shop here in the area, and I'm friends with their club fitter there. I've known him for many years. I said, so what's the deal with PXG? And he goes, there's more PXG in our used bin than any other club. Mm-hmm. So you can figure out for yourself. So with all that said, and I apologize for throwing you under the bus on this one, but
good.
PXG's been a disruptor in the golf industry.
Right.
You guys kind of like the Marine Corps. Your owner has kind of like marched in and said, we're taking over. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it our way. Mm-hmm. What is it about PXG that is unique?
Everything.
Okay, so I threw you under the bus and then tossed you a softball. All right.
I'm glad you called us the disruptor. That is what we are. Mr. Parsons 10 years ago came up with a game plan to essentially hire the two best engineers he could at the time. And the equipment that he wanted was because he wanted golf equipment that was going to better his game. And so
it was all about him.
It was at the beginning, it was all about him, and
wow.
Rightfully so. He had the ability to do what he needed. And so he hired the two engineers from Ping. And after a year, they were able to find, forged metal. They mill out the inside of the iron. And at the time, they were able to put an elastomer in there, which essentially was to create higher distance, but tighter dispersion, more forgiveness. We wanted to be able to disrupt the industry with maximizing distance, but optimizing your dispersion. So from there, it went to Mr. Parsons' hands. He fell in love with them immediately. There really wasn't any idea to grow the brand to where I think it was today immediately, but it went to the tour. And then from the tour, it went to the public, and then it really boomed. And essentially it's because we don't have any time constraints on building our equipment. We don't have to put out equipment every single year. We want to put out equipment to make sure that, one, it is going to beat the competitors, but it's also going to beat what we currently have. We also, we don't have any constraints with, funding. We have an unbelievable R&D program that takes care of creating, cutting edge technology, and the materials that we use in our equipment is superior to be able to provide anybody a more enjoyable golf game, because we're going to help you with maximizing your forgiveness and also maximizing your distance. And that plays also into the whole process of getting fit. Anybody has the ability to purchase our equipment online, and it's an unbelievable configurator that you can actually, there's a series of questions you go through, and it'll put together, different types of shafts based on the questions or the answers that you provide.
Like what? Give me an example. If you
how tall you are, the length of your arms, how far you currently hit your 7-iron. So it helps provide, variables so that they can give you options of different shafts and different heads, and it'll give you an actual, a full bag, essentially, of, a different shaft, the right head, all the way through the putter. And you can purchase it online too. But the key is going and actually seeing the results and seeing the data, and being able to justify any type of purchase because you're seeing a significant difference with your equipment compared to what we're fitting you into. So that's the key element, is essentially, to get fit, and having the ability to have our own retail locations and have our master fitters. We put them through a series of training before they are ready to rock and roll. And they're very well equipped with TrackMan. They know our equipment inside and out, and the shafts that we have to offer to essentially optimize any skill set player. If you're a scratch handicap player and you want to get a little bit more distance, we have that for you. If you're an average handicap player and you're just looking to hit more greens, we can do that for you without a doubt. It's the key is to get fit properly and test out the product. And essentially now we're offering $25 fittings. So what better time to find a
When you say now, define that. I mean, because the thing about podcasts, especially these evergreen content podcasts,
Yeah.
is people can be listening to this in 5 years. So
yeah, I mean, our pricing
right now we're recording this just before Christmas of 2023.
okay.
So when you say right now,
Yeah,
$25 for a fitting.
$25 fitting fees right now. That can go towards the purchase. And when I say right now,
Okay.
being that PXG has the ability to change and shift, whether it's pricing, and product, anything. Anything is subject to change. But as
Sure.
of right now, in December 18th, 2023, we are offering $25 fitting fees, whether it's a full bag, whether it's an irons fitting. And actually, the $25 can go towards the purchase if you purchase on that day.
Yeah, you mentioned that. And so what would be the normal cost of a fitting then? Is there one?
There isn't. I wouldn't put
That goes to the purchase of your equipment.
no.
There's,
With PXG.
yeah.
Yeah, no. Right now, that is the normal 25.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
our normal. Our normal changes. It has the capability of changing, right? But as of right now, it's 25.
But why, there's a lot of other brands. I don't know if their advertising are as aggressive in their advertising as PXG, but there are a lot of other brands that get a lot more play because they're seen on the tour, blah, 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 about, if it's on the tour, then I must go out and play that as well. Tell me why PXG should stand out to the consumer above the rest of the big names. And I'm not even going to name them.
It's
everyone's got one in their head right now. Anyway,
no, I mean, I think the extension of where we can offer our equipment compared to anybody else, we're not in big box stores. We're not in a lot of golf shops, because we want to own our own customers. We want to know our customers. It's really difficult for any other manufacturer that is in big box stores to know their customer. And that's really important for us. So we really pride ourselves on owning and knowing our customers and all of their capabilities and needs.
And when PXG first got started, it was online. Was it online only, direct to consumer, or has it always been available on a retail basis?
No, when we first started,
In-store.
the only ways that you could purchase PXG, and we're talking, 6, 7 years ago, was either a retail authorizer, which would have been like a Club Champion at the time, or a True Spec. You could have called our player support line, or you would have had to have contacted one of our mobile fitters that was in a specific location. I started covering basically every state in New England, based out of Boston, Massachusetts, but I had the ability to jump in a van and have every single thing that you can find in the store. It's in our vans as well, like all the shafts, all the heads. And I'm a mobile fitter driving around the whole region, going where I was needed. So that was the capabilities of getting our equipment back then, where it's a lot different now. We have retail locations, we have mobile locations. If we have an account with a local green grass, a country club, we are authorized to go to certain golf courses and fit membership there online. And you can also call our 1-844-PLAY-PXG.
Well, let that one go in. Hey, free plug. You mentioned big box stores.
Yes, sir.
And a fascinating story that seems to be taking the world by storm, at least here in the United States, is Costco.
Yep.
Is now putting their own name. They're putting Kirkland, and they just came out with a driver last week, and they have now irons and wedges and their own balls that were disruptors. But again, you're not getting fitted. You're getting a great price for a product that you really don't know where it came from. But knowing, the Kirkland brand, they don't put their name on crap.
No.
But still. And the beauty of Costco is like you can play them for a year and go, yeah, it's not helping. You can return them. And the beauty of Costco, you can't do that in most retail locations for golf. Right. What are your thoughts about a company like Costco trying to be a disruptor and playing, lowballing the price and I'm not going to say a mediocre or an average product. We don't know, but it's not tailored to the golfer.
No, it's not. I would hate to put any type of price on performance. I think performance is going to outweigh price all day long, in the sense of am I paying for what I'm getting out of it, or is it just an attractive number to get more people to buy it? Mm-hmm. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're only offering one shaft in the irons, and I think it's the DG 115. So that's not going to cater to a lot of consumers. It's a 115 gram shaft, and we're seeing more people trend to the graphite shaft because it's lighter and they can swing faster. I'll tell you what, it's a sharp looking iron. It is sharp. It's sharp, but I welcome any disruptor. Come on in. I welcome all disruptors, because that's what makes this whole industry fun. Come on in. And there was not a lot of people that thought PXG would be around even to this day.
Yeah.
And
it's a great logo, right? And you guys are more than just clubs. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I know that the owner's wife does a lot of the fashion, and so there's cool looking clothes, and the clubs are highly identifiable when someone's holding one.
Yeah,
which is pretty awesome.
So, quick, just backstory. When our first generation came out, right? So everybody knows PXG when the first generation. If you know PXG, the first generation, it had all those individual tungsten weights on the back, and from what I remember, that was just a prototype until Mr. Parsons saw it and he said, "That's it, leave it," because it definitely sticks out. And so, like you said, it is identifiable. It's noticeable. Chances are at least one person at every golf course has something PXG in their bag, and it's cool. It's cool to see. It's such a cool evolution of our product and our brand growing to where it is to today. I mean, I think I was number 110 or something like that in the employee log when I got hired, and just seeing how fast we've grown with our retail stores, and sky's the limit, and I think with the sole owner and Mr. Parsons and his logics of, well, want to be the disruptor, and I want to be the best, and I want to be number one. We all share that same passion, and that's why we're here for the long haul.
Well, they have to be very proud, because you're very, very proud. And you like the product, and it comes across well, and I can see why they put me in touch with you to let you do the talking. This has been really entertaining, really educational. I appreciate your passion and your time, and wish you a very happy New Year. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. Again, pxg.com.
Start there. More. You can start there for sure. It's a good spot to start there.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Fred, thank you very much. I appreciate it too.
One of the big takeaways from that conversation was PJ's point that clubs don't last forever. And honestly, I've been playing my irons for about 7 to 8 years now, and getting about 50 rounds a year in with those. And in 2023, I definitely was starting to notice that my clubs were not achieving the distances or accuracy that I had grown accustomed to in prior years. And I just couldn't figure it out. Why is that happening? I even went to my local retailer where I was fit for these clubs. Ping. I was playing Ping G clubs. I am playing Ping G clubs. And the same guy who fit me for them. And he thought that it would improve things for me if he just added some weighted tape on a couple of my irons. Still, I wasn't really thrilled with the results. So to hear that clubs have an expiration date, and I'm putting that in air quotes, actually explained a lot. So this spring, and hopefully sooner, when I start playing regularly again, I'm going to go to my local PXG fitter with my camera and a couple microphones to get fitted for the full PXG setup so that I can share it with you. So please stay tuned for that. Now, if you have any experience with PXG clubs, good or bad, I'd really love to hear about what you went through. As I mentioned at the head of the episode, this is the launch of our 19th year doing weekly episodes of Golf Smarter. And I couldn't be more pleased to have one of our newest ambassadors representing the course where I got my start. Thank you, David. I invite you to become a Golf Smarter ambassador as well, with the incentive of getting a choice of 3 great gifts for your efforts of just telling us where you're from and where you play. Here's what you have to choose from: a free link to Tony Manzoni's video of the Lost Fundamental, a glove and glove storage compartment from redroostergolf.com, and our new third option for you to choose is an 8-pack of the Flight Path golf tees from flightpathgolf.com. Just write directly to me and I'll send you some simple instructions on how to record an episode opening that takes maybe about a minute. Check out today's show notes to find links about each gift that you have to choose from. To see and hear the most compelling and helpful short tips and insights of our podcast interviews from both Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans, which we'll continue to do, please follow us on social at Golf Smarter on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and we'll call it Twitter for now, for our ongoing posts of videos and articles 5 times every week. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions for upcoming episodes in the new year, or you just want to join our list of Golf Smarter ambassadors who've received a free gift, write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or click on the Hey Fred button when you visit golfsmarter.com.